Hi, and welcome to Saturday's podcast. We explore sound, we talk about music, and we write music. And this is for musician and non-musician alike to come together and just be all on the same playing level and enjoy stuff. For today, I decided to do things a little different, kind of mix up the format a bit. This one's going to be short, but I wanted to talk to you. I wanted you to get to know me in a way differently than I show you every week when I'm just like making stuff up. So I wanted to tell you a story. Now, the bass instrument is a very important instrument to me. This is what I like to call my instrument soulmate, where you play music and you play music and you play music and you kind of chip away at it. And then all of a sudden you find an instrument that resonates with you. Resonate. Whatever. But it resonates with you in a way differently than you've experienced before as a musician. And this is a phenomenon that I want to talk about a little bit because it's really cool. And it's one of those things that just makes you feel like there was a plan all along and you weren't just kind of swinging out there in the dark. To give a little backstory, I have been playing music since I was 10 years old. I played the flute since I was 10 and hated it. I really didn't realize I hated it until I was in my late teens. I had to learn the hard way that there was nothing about the sound of a flute that I necessarily was drawn to, especially not enough to the point where I wanted to play it and spend hours practicing it. It didn't just give me that thrill that I love this sound. I just want to hear more of it. I want to challenge myself more to improve. And I'm rambling, but flute, not for me. The guitar was always something that was special to me because it was very special to my dad. He had a custom Les Paul Gibson L5 jazz guitar. And I used to sit on his lap and he would just be like, here, put your finger here. And he would show me how to get harmonics out. But I never learned how to actually play the guitar. So I went to a county college. I started taking guitar as an elective. And I remember my first lesson, I sat down and her name was Carol. I asked her, I said, how do I even hold this? I didn't even know which way to hold it, what side the neck goes on, all confused. She taught me everything that I had to know about the guitar in order to play it. And she was teaching me classical style. In classical style music, you have to do finger picking. Each finger has a letter associated with it, P-I-M-A. She started me out doing something called a rest stroke. Say I want to hit this string. You put your finger on the string, you brush your finger across it, and you land on the next string down, or you rest on the next string down, and then you alternate. So it's so I showed you all of that to illustrate that you basically play the bass the same way. So she started me off with this rest stroke, and I could not get used to playing with a guitar pick. She was trying to transition me to using a guitar pick. And I liked finger picking, but I really liked that rest stroke. She was like, you should try the bass because the technique you're doing is what you do to play the bass guitar. A few months later, I think for Christmas, I got a student level bass. And all of a sudden, life made sense. I went back and I was listening to old songs that I loved, that I grew up loving and not knowing why I loved it. And then going back and listening, and all of a sudden I could hear the bass lines and I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I loved about this song the whole time. The whole time. That's what I was drawn to. And it was just you could call it happenstance, serendipityness, dipaciousness. I don't know. It was meant to be. And I loved the bass the whole time. I just didn't know it. And because I could not use a guitar pick, one of my favorite bass professors suggested I try the bass, and I did. And then later on, I went on to a 4-year college where she also taught, and she was teaching me bass, but she was like, you know what? She, at the time, it was her fiance. She was like, let me call him in as an adjunct professor to give you bass lessons. And he challenged me in ways that I think every music student should be challenged. And he made me cry, for sure. But I appreciated it because I think that in whatever field you're in, you should be challenged. You should know what your limitations are and the extent of those limitations and where you break, so that you can be like, okay, next time I'm not going to break there. I'm going to work harder and I'm going to surpass that. You know, we need to push ourselves that way. He really shaped me into the bass player that I am today. And I had so many bad habits from being self-taught. So that was how I started playing the bass. Just wanted to share that little bit of a personal story with you. And if you do play an instrument, I'd love to read in the comments below what that is and how you got started. If you don't play an instrument, but you have a passion that you really work on and push yourself and challenge yourself with, I'd love to hear what that is too and how you got started with that. I shared my story. Now I want to hear yours. All right. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. I put them out every Saturday and I want you to know when they come out. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend and I'll see you next week. Bye. I love my bass. So when I went to college, I, as an elective, started taking guitar lessons with this incredible music teacher that, like, she really changed my life. And later on, her husband changed my life because he also became my bass professor in another college.